Hi, Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast. This is part three of my Week 11 preview, where I'll look at the Sunday late slot, Sunday night football and Monday night football games. So let's get straight into it by looking at the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. This is arguably the biggest game of the week. This, as it could decide the NFC West quite possibly. Whoever wins this will have a one-game lead atop the division and at least a share of the head-to-head tiebreak, as the teams are scheduled to meet again in Week 16. The Seahawks have developed into being a team with no obvious weaknesses and have the seventh-ranked pass offense and third-ranked run defense as their particular areas of strength. The Rams also possess a strong run defense and a fine pass rushing unit too. On offense, Matthew Stafford and his receivers lead the league for pass offense. With the Rams having a pass rush that can trouble Sam Darnold, and the Rams having one of the very best quarterbacks in the league, I'm going to take the Rams to get the win here, as both offenses could be set to struggle. So I don't, I could break this down into minute detail. They're basically two really good teams meeting each other, but I think the Rams' strength is greater than the Seahawks' strength. I've said all season that I fancy the Rams to win the division, so I'm not going to back off here. I'm going to take the Rams to win this one by 27-23. And then we stay at the NFC West for another head-to-head in that division between the 49ers and the Cardinals. And given that one of the Rams or Seahawks are going to move to 8-2 with a win this week, the 49ers cannot afford to lose this one and fall to 6-5, 2.5 games out of the division lead. Every week is a must win now for the Cardinals, which makes this a big game for both. These are two teams that rank in the middle of the league for rush and passing on both sides of the ball. So they're pretty average teams. It's what that's telling us on the evidence so far. And there's not much between them. The records say there is, but the Cardinals have made a habit of losing close ones. In the first meeting in week three, this was the case again, where the 49ers edged it by a single point. But the Cardinals for this game are without Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner, and Trey Benson from that game, whereas Ricky Pearsall is back for the 49ers, and they also have George Kittle, who did not play in the first meeting. The Cardinals also have injuries on their O-line, D-line, and in their secondary ahead of this game. The other big news is that Brock Purdy's back for this game. Whether he'll come straight back in and play better than Mac Jones, who's done a reasonable job for the 49ers, remains to be seen. But Jacoby Brissett has been playing better for the Cardinals, for me, than Kyler Murray did when he got hurt. And there's more fire to the smoke as we go week to week about Kyler Murray not starting anymore for the Cardinals. That could be a long-term thing. The 49ers, though, don't cause opposing quarterbacks much trouble via a pass rush. So Brissett could do okay this week, even without Harrison. He could have another decent game. The Cardinals, though, will have to rely on effectively their fourth string running back in Emery DeMarcado. And like I say, without Harrison, that may be too much for them to overcome against the 49ers. So I'll take the 49ers to win another close one here, 23-20. The Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Well, what way can the Browns find to lose this week? Or can they pull off the upset against the resurgent Ravens team needing a win to keep their pursuit of the Steelers, keep up their pursuit of the Steelers in the AFC North? Now, the Ravens routed the Browns 41-17 in week two, and with their defense playing really well in recent weeks, the Browns' offense is unlikely to top 20 points in this game. Indeed, they've only done that once so far this season. The Ravens have averaged 33 points a game in the 5 full games Lamar Jackson has played this season. So all the evidence points to an easy Ravens win here, and that is surely what will come to pass. So I'll take the Ravens to win this by 30 points to 16. Kansas City Chiefs at Denver Broncos. This is a huge one as well. The Chiefs' chances of retaining their AFC West title were not helped by both the Broncos and Chargers winning during their Week 10 bye. That probably means they need to sweep their three remaining games against those two teams to retain that title, starting with the first of the two games against the Broncos. If the Broncos win, they knock the Chiefs out of that race, I should say, and stay atop the AFC West and in the race for AFC top seed. A loss for the Chiefs would put their postseason participation in further doubt. Rankings-wise, the Chiefs are in the top half for run offense and defense, but a top 10 for pass offense and defense. So they've ranked well across the board. and they're better than their record. No surprise to anybody that really. The Broncos are mid-ranked for pass and run defense, but will be without J.K. Dobbins for this game. Their defense is top five against both the run and the pass, and the defense is the key to this team. They're going to be without Patrick Surtain again in this game, which might be important. Um, so really, you've got a Chiefs team that's better than its record, and a Broncos team that I will continue to argue is worse than its record. So there's read into that what you will. The Broncos offense has really struggled in its last two games, totaling just 28 points across those games, in which they averaged just 240 yards of offense, 245 yards of offense a game. And without Dobbins, they look to struggle again here. The Chiefs have scored 21 or more in 8 of their 9 games this season, and 20 plus may be enough for them to get the win here. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to have enough offense to get the win by 23 points to 16 is how I see it. Let's get on to Sunday night football. The Detroit Lions at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Lions are back at the top of the NFC North after their win last at the Packers, and the Packers loss, I should say, in Week 10, and are one of the three teams that sit just a game behind another three-way tie for top spot in the NFC standings. And we're one of the three teams they're chasing being the Eagles, who got a hard-earned win over the Packers in Week 10. This game has big implications in terms of the top seeding in the postseason from the NFC. The Lions secondary gives up big pass plays, but the D-line has been really good against the run and also has 30 sacks to its name as a pass rushing unit. And with the Eagles allowing 25 sacks of Jalen Hurts this season, that elite pass rushing unit will need to get to Hurts in this game to limit the exposure of their secondary to those big plays. The Eagles' D looked like its old self against the Packers last week and will need to stand strong this week too. But the Lions have suffered a serious blow in losing Sam Laporta to IR. And that's a big blow to their passing offense, putting even more onus on Amon-Ra St. Brown in that regard and their Sonic and Knuckles driven running game to deliver here. And it's the run game, especially in the form of Sonic, Jamar Gibbs, and the Lions' pass rush, that I can actually see being a decisive factor. And I think the Lions can pull off a huge win here. So I'm going to take the Lions to win in Philadelphia by 27 to 23. And let's finally round off with the Monday Night Football. Dallas Cowboys at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders come from facing one of the toughest defenses, the Broncos, in Week 10, to facing a Cowboys D that has been amongst the worst this season. But will it improve via the trade deadline acquisitions they made? Well, they'll hope it will. The Raiders are not going to make the postseason, and the Cowboys' chances of doing so would probably end with a loss here. DeMarvion Overshawn and third-round draft pick Siobhan Ravel should be back for the Cowboys D, plus the newly acquired Quinnen Williams should improve that poor defense as they look to limit Ashton Jonty and Brock Bowers in particular. But the Cowboys do not have a dominant pass rush, well, they gave that away, and have generated just 4 picks this season. So they seem less likely than most to trouble Geno Smith and get him to throw the picks that have hurt the Raiders badly this season. If Smith could avoid those costly picks, Aston Jonty looks set for a good game here, maybe even as a receiving back. And with the Cowboys being a great matchup for opposing wide receivers, like I say, Jonty and Bowers are a staple, but Trey Tucker and Tyler Lockett may be the other ones to bring them the touchdowns they will need if they are to overcome the Cowboys' high-powered offense. And the Raiders do actually have a decent pass defense, ranked 13th in the league. And with Dak Prescott having been sacked 7 times in the Cowboys' last 2 games and having thrown 3 picks in those games, this game could well be a case of which quarterback throws the least picks is going to get the win. Geno Smith is not the one I will take to win any such matchup this season, though. And with the Cowboys having scored 24 points or more in 6 of their 9 games this season, and the Raiders having reached that 24-point mark in just 3 of their 9 games this season, the Cowboys look to have too much offensive power for the Raiders to cope with here. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to win that 27 to 20. Briefly, let's look at the 2 teams on bye week. The Indianapolis Colts. What do the Colts want to see on their TVs this weekend? Losses for the Broncos and Chargers would be nice, having seen the Pats get their expected win on Thursday Night Football. And whilst they must be confident of taking care of their own business in the AFC South, losses for the Jags and Texans would be nice for them to see from their couches too. Well, they know one of the Chargers and Texans is going to lose anyway as they meet each other. So something's going to at least give you one bit of good news for the Colts as they rest up this week. It's been a very good season for them. Enjoy your rest, boys. The New Orleans Saints, a week of rest to look back on their win over the Panthers with joy is what the Saints will enjoy this week as they have no real relevance in terms of playing beyond week 18. So that's it. That's my previews of this week's action. Let's see how I pan out. I'm hoping for at least 10 out of 15 this week to stay in double figures. Already 1 for 1. Got within 1 point of getting that that Patriots Jets game right. So let's see if I can continue the good form. Enjoy the games this week.